Kathy, may I pull this down so that I can use the stage? Thank you. That's even better. Thank you. Well, it's a wonderful pleasure to be here again among my fellow NTU Toastmasters. I've been asked to be the language evaluator a number of times in this club, but tonight is my greatest challenge because there were 15 speakers and the time allotted for me to speak is 7 minutes. And it's already begun, and we are behind schedule, so I will do my best. I hope that I can make at least one comment about every person's speech in 7 minutes. But if I forget you or if I miss you, you have my apologies in advance. To begin with, I have just a few comments about our Toastmasters of the evening. Firstly, thank you very much for your wonderfully creative and very entertaining presentation. I'm sure that we'll hear more about that in the general evaluation. But I do have a few suggestions about how you used English as you were speaking. The first is that at the beginning, you said, please be noted that you will be judged. Speaking to the speakers, you said, please be noted that you will be judged, where we would prefer to probably say, please notice, or please remember that you will be judged. Later, speaking about the scores, you said, so the total score is the sum of the three, and you said, so plus it, 4 plus 3 plus 2. We don't use plus like that, instead we would say add. So we say 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, but if you're talking about the action, you would say we need to add up the numbers. Later you said, again speaking to our 3 judges, how many scores will you give, where what you meant to say is what score will you give. That's probably the way that we would say it. And the very last thing, and then I'll stop picking on you, I'm sorry, is that later in the presentation, after you had accused James of cheating during the contest, you said, why do you cheat on me? But cheat on me is a little bit of it's an idiomatic expression, and it refers to a romantic relationship where you have a boyfriend and then you are also seeing someone else or vice versa. So you can be a little bit careful of that. But otherwise, a wonderful presentation. Thank you. Okay, moving to our numerous prepared speeches. I'm only going to have time to make one comment about each speaker, so I apologize for that. 1 or 2 comments. The first speaker was Paris, and something that you said, I liked your speech generally, and one thing that I liked in particular was your use of the word daring to describe the man, I forget the man's name, who ran off with Helen of Troy. Daring is precisely the right word to describe that activity. Our second speaker, Wilson, you said you may be embarrassed by my skinny outlook. Should I just wait for this, or? Should I start speaking faster?
Yeah.
Are we about to be kicked out of here? Okay.
Sorry.
That's fine. Okay, that's right. I can stay here as long as I want. Thank you. You said that you were embarrassed by your skinny outlook. First, I should say, don't worry about it. I'm also a thin person, especially compared to other Americans. But we wouldn't use the word outlook there. We would say appearance. I was embarrassed by my skinny appearance. And later you said in the Toastmaster Club, you hope you can have much fun, where we would probably say a lot of fun, if I can have a lot of fun. Alicia, I liked the fact that you used the word pessimistic to describe your attitude earlier in your life. You told a story about going to a park to feed some tadpoles, but you were mispronouncing a word. The word for a small body of water where the fish or the tadpoles live is pond, distinct from pound. Pound is a unit of weight, or to pound someone. But a pond is a small body of water. Sam, you said in your speech you were talking about a conversation between your friend, and you said that your friend asked you, did you did your homework? Where we would prefer to say, did you do your homework? And later you said solving calculus problems was your habit. So I want to take a moment to distinguish between the word habit and the word hobby. I often see these words misused. A hobby is something that you do because you are interested in it in your spare time. For example, joining Toastmasters, or practicing archery, or playing ping pong. A habit is something that you do repeatedly without thinking about it. So we often say bad habits. For example, biting your fingernails is a bad habit. But you could also say that I have the habit of going a particular route when I go to school. But the idea is that a habit is something that you've done so many times that you do it without thinking about it, and it has kind of a negative connotation, whereas a hobby is something that you're interested to do and you do in your spare time. There were actually 2 speakers that misused the word habit in their presentations today. The word hobby is what you're looking for. Stanley, I also appreciated your speech. To describe your father, I think you wanted to say that you said that he was a boss. I heard a little bit of the letter T, like boss. What you wanted to say is that he is a boss, but maybe a more appropriate word to describe him would be a businessman or a business owner. A boss, anyone that has people working for them is a boss. It's a very general term. But a business owner is a person that owns their own business, obviously. Later, you mispronounced a little bit the word chronicles in the series of books by C.S. Lewis that are called the Chronicles of Narnia. Daniel Lai also appreciated your speech. Instead, you said that if you were a prophet, like the biblical prophet Daniel, you would be able to pre-know the answers on the test. The word that we would use is predict. And you said, was flash across my mind, where we would usually say flashed across my mind. Soya, at one point you said, I was very envy of them, describing, I think, your fellow students, where we would prefer to say, I envied them. Or if you want to emphasize, you can say, I envied them very much. But you cannot say, I was very envied them. Later you said, after enter in the university. We would prefer to say, what you probably want to say is entering, E-N-T-E-R-I-N-G, just all one word together. After entering the university, or you could say, after I entered the university. And we do have an idiomatic expression, or a metaphor, the road of life. But I believe that I heard you say the life of road. The phrase that we use is, there are many paths or many choices on the road of life. And finally, you said, I will courage myself to stand on the stage. We don't use the word courage quite like that. So you would say, I built up my courage, or I developed my courage in order to stand on the stage. Philip Lee, the only comment that I have is a mispronunciation of the word society. What you said sounded to me more like society. And there are 3 society, there are 4 syllables, society, in that word. Michelle, some of our evaluators made this comment as well. You have a beautiful voice. It's very soft and gentle, very pleasant to listen to, even more pleasant to listen to than my voice. But you gave your speech without the microphone, which is nice. Actually, I don't like speaking with a microphone. I would rather just speak extemporaneously because it allows my hands to be free. But in this room, the acoustics are not very good, and I have a feeling that some people sitting in the back were not able to hear you. In fact, I could barely hear you. I had to lean forward. So I suggest if you try to do that, if you decide to go without the microphone, try to speak as loudly as you possibly can so that the most people can understand you. And also, your speech was very fluent, but you spoke very quickly. I think it may be difficult for some people to understand you.